Welcome to my backyard, folks. Today is July 13th. We have transitioned from early summer into midsummer here in the garden. The daylilies are starting to open. Some beautiful color combinations, lavender with a yellow throat. You saw the strawberry shortcake over there, kind of a pinkish orange with a red throat. This is a yellow with a red throat. And again, those wonderful strawberry cupcakes that I got from Lowe's for $3 are just amazing this year. These are the big orange ones that I've had for several years, and you can tell by the size of them, but really among my favorites are these gorgeous red velvets. A lot of the stuff has already died back, but we've got other stuff starting to come along. This is Russian globe thistle, very reminiscent of what we saw in Israel. Not quite as big and as blue, but nevertheless it's a humongous wildlife draw. Hummingbirds and bees and moths, especially the hummingbird moth, love it. This is a daylily called Chicago Fire, one of my favorites. We have several different colors of Monarda or bee balm in this yard, and this is a just newly opened pale pink. Very, very pretty. This color right here is called raspberry wine, and this is the bed where the goutweed has run it all out. The Jacob Klein over there, the red is fading. However, we have a beautiful stand of the raspberry wine right here. This is a plant called Crocosmia. It's not only a favorite of mine, it's a favorite of the hummingbirds. It almost looks like a bird of paradise blossom on there. Another favorite plant is called Meadowsweet or Queen of the Prairie. Looks like pink cotton candy. This spreads like wildfire, so I'm going to share some seeds with my dear neighbor Elsie later on. These are the glads that I placed in here with annuals, like that lacy thing is a Cosmo. These are the ones that have survived the myriad devouring by chipmunks, and now I see little gray mice. My cabbages that I placed in this pallet bed instead of the Straw Bale Garden, just to save space, are thriving now that I actually hilled more soil and gave it a good feeding with some organic fertilizer. Again, you can see that's a casualty of the chipmunks or the mice, and you can even tell by the holes that they dug. I think that's more due to the mice. This was full of annuals. I don't have anything in it now. What am I going to do? So anyway, let's go over here to the Straw Bale Garden. We're coming in the back way. I've created actually another fence around this, my red Norland potato cage, because this one huge stalk was starting to grow out the side. Since the potatoes form on the stem, and not the roots like people believe, I just added another tomato cage around the outside and stuffed it full of straw, so more potatoes can actually form in there. These are my Yukon Golds, I believe. I think I have the Yukons in the round bin. For whatever reason, the foliage here in the front seems to want to yellow and die back. I don't know what that's from, but we'll just go with it. My blueberries have been picked pretty clean by all the bird life, mostly the new fledgling orioles and the robins. By the way, behind that big elderberry bush over there, under that post, is the empty bluebird nest. They fledged last Tuesday, and Blue and Belle, the parents, have both come back and visited me. So I don't know, we might get a second brood this year. I'm very pleased to see this. This is the first blossom opening on my lemon squash, which is like a little yellow patty pan. But you can see, well, let me get this leaf over here. There we go, right down in there. You see that blossom on the end of, I think you're seeing it, on the end of what's called an Italian hybrid. There it is, right there. Italian hybrid, which is like a striped zucchini. And over here, this is more of an oval shape. This little squash in here is an oval shape. There it is. That's called a Magda hybrid. and we've just been picking the yellow straight neck squash all the time. In fact, we had a beautiful stir fry last night with featuring the yellow straight neck squash. There's more in there that will probably be picked in a day or two. I took advantage again of some of the sales at Runnings, which now are 75% off annuals and some of the perennials, and picked up, this is another, I picked up a pair of white eggplants called Gretel that are actually in full bloom, and it looks like I've got a little baby eggplant starting on that. My peppers are doing well. Those are my carrots. They're starting to head up really nicely. Over here, I picked up a couple of the Black Beauty, the big, large, oval-shaped eggplants that we're all used to. I picked my two and ate them last night. Ichibans off of that one. This wilted thing right here, believe it or not, is a squash plant that I found planted in the soil beside the newly placed sidewalks that the village put in down the street. I recognized it as a squash plant, took Benji for a walk, brought my trowel, dug it up, and stuck it in a bale. Last week when I was in the hospital up in ICU, something got to a bunch of the romaine lettuce and the leaf lettuce that I had here. These two plants right here are the ones that I just cut the head off and left the stems in the soil, and you can see they've come back up with beautiful, beautiful new leaves. But these ones down here, I think I probably had a chipmunk or something just get up on the bales and decimate them. Last night's stir fry also had these gorgeous sugar snap and snow peas. These ones right here are snow peas, but the plump ones like you see right there, that's a sugar snap pea. They literally tasted like they were dipped in sugar. Something just jumped in here. It's probably my resident toad. Oh, now I can actually see a leopard frog in there on top of my bale. Isn't that funny? These are my wax beans. Again, something you can see how something just came in and topped the whole plant, and yet they left the emerging beans. You know, actually, these will be ready to pick probably by the end of this weekend. These are the tomato plants that Kathy, my sister, gave me, and I just stuck them in holes that I found. And look at it, you can see that they're already coming up to blossom. They've only been in there about 3 weeks, so woohoo! My early girls are producing an incredible crop of tomatoes, and oh my goodness, look at, I have my first red tomato. Today is actually there's two of them in there. That's one of the sugary sweets, which are a grape tomato that literally taste like they're dipped in sugar. All of my tomato plants are doing well. This gargantuan over here, I actually had to come in and tie up. It was probably 4 feet wide. So I just brought all the fronds up and clipped them to this trellis, which is one of the greatest aspects of a straw bale garden. You really need it for these indeterminate types of tomatoes. But I mean, there's probably a whole peck worth of glamour tomatoes in there on that 1 or 2 plants. I'm not even sure if it's only just one. Isn't that dark opal basil gorgeous? I put a little basil in my stir fry last night. Absolutely delicious. In bringing up these tomato plants, it gave a little bit more light to this, which is my white eggplant, and you can see the benefit of that is we're in full bloom today. Well, I can pick this. This is called a little finger eggplant. They literally say pick them when they're the size of your little finger. So that one's coming in tonight, and I see I have more in here. If I get, there's more. There's 2 on that one. There's 1 on this plant right here. There's 3 on that plant right there. Talk about prolific, folks. If I can get together enough, what I'll do is slice them up and maybe throw them on the grill tonight. That would be delicious. The Swiss chard, which is absolutely my most favorite vegetable in the world, is doing very lovely. The second plantings, I thought that I had put a Navarro lettuce in here, but that looks like Tuscan kale to me. Now I have to kind of walk around and try to find out where I planted that lettuce. Let's see, I had definitely, in here you see You see new shoots of radishes that supplanted the original radishes, although I do still have a few in here. You see like that little tiny guy right there. I did a second sowing of Swiss chard and beets. This right here is dill. I tried to grow dill over in my boxes and it didn't come up, but I still have dill coming up through the cardboard and the straws from last year being in the soil here. My curly parsley is doing well. My different squash that I just started maybe about 3 weeks now, are looks like they're getting a little attacked by flea beetles. But, you know, hey, they're coming up with their third sets of leaves, so that means they're they're growing. Now, it looks like a little yellow cast on that early girl right there. I might be eating full-size tomatoes here in a week. I put out these spoons dipped in, yellow spoons dipped in right there in tanglefoot to try to deter the flea beetles, because that's what I was assuming. I mean, can you see how they completely have skeletonized my Tuscan kale? That's unacceptable, folks. So I see flea beetles among the culprits on this, but and you know what? I'm not even seeing flea beetles actually on it. So maybe this here was the damage that was done before I set them. And I do see there is brand new life and growth down in the center of these. Beautiful thing about kale, as with any green, even if some of the leaves are snipped off, you can eat them, take them from the outer in. They will constantly set up new growth in the middle. These are my beets, originally sown on May 21st. The early girls right here, or early wonders, excuse me, are really twice the size of the Detroit dark tops. I just love beets. I have sown more seeds in and among to be a succession plant. Over here we have nasturtiums. Something even got to the nasturtiums, which nasturtiums are supposed to be planted. Oh, I have a cherry tomato that's going to be picked. The nasturtiums are usually the kind of strong-smelling plant that keeps critters out of your garden. I have one here that's going to be opened up into a full, it looks like a cadmium red blossom very soon. These are my Capitano yellow bush beans, the big flat Italian Romano beans, which are my absolute most favorite meal in the summer. Saute them in a little olive oil and garlic, and maybe give them a shot of soy sauce at the end. Just absolutely love it. While I was hospitalized, of course, the weeds took over this bed here. However, I was very pleased to see some of the new blossoms. My coneflower is starting to open. Shasta daisy, double Shasta daisy at that. The butterfly bushes, the scabiosa. I have a Christian Dior blossom, red rose right there open. I didn't even know that thing had come up and budded. Very pleased at that. The other butterfly bushes are doing well. They're all coming up into blossom if they haven't already blossomed. This is Asclepia. They call it sweet vanilla plant. Basically, it's swamp milkweed, folks. Some other places call it Cinderella Asclepia. Basically, you would grow milkweed of any form in your garden to attract monarch butterflies, because it is the only host plant of the monarch butterfly caterpillar. So since monarchs are being wiped out because of the rampant use of chemicals, specifically Roundup, glyphosate, because milkweed is disappearing from the landscape, I do everything I can to help sustain the population. On that scabiosa earlier this week, I found a beautiful great spangled fritillary. On this kaleidoscope butterfly bush, I had a beautiful black swallowtail butterfly, very fresh, very beautiful, very fresh, earlier this actually the same day. The daylilies that I left growing in here in a circle are these beautiful double oranges, and you know, I couldn't get rid of all of them because they are beautiful. I've got a bunch more of this beautiful red butterfly bush blossoms coming up. This is just starting to open, and probably in 2 more days it'll be fully open. This is a purple long stocking Monarda or bee balm, and that is growing alongside some more beautiful red Jacob Klein. I got this whole stand by my Aunt Marty two seasons ago, I think. And the beautiful thing about bee balm is not only is it a huge hummingbird magnet, in fact, I see the male hummingbird in that bee balm over there more than any other plant in this garden. But it just spreads like wildfire. So you gotta love a beautifully naturalizing plant like that. I was really chuffed to find that we even had allium from probably 20 years ago that has survived in the garden. Back out here to the straw bale, I had pulled the ambrosia muskmelon plants out forward, and they're growing along the trellis or wrapping around nicely that I built for them, and I would be not surprised to start to see little baby muskmelons, cantaloupes, growing on those vines soon. My cucumbers, I had to pull them up too because they were starting to hang down, but my cucumbers are doing smashingly, and oh my goodness, don't tell me somebody took my, oh no, there he is. He got so heavy, he started to fall down. This will be my very first ever cucumber grown in my garden. I tried it in years past, but something in the soil, they come out crappy. They're great big huge monstrous things, but look at that. This is actually a burpless hybrid, the kind that like there's another one in there, like the long skinny English ones that you find in the grocery store. And they're doing such a great job shading my romaine lettuce. Look at how beautiful this romaine is becoming. It's nice and crisp and heading up very nicely. If I need a salad, I'll just come out and break off some of the outer leaves and just leave the plant to thrive and head up fully. Again, my Capitano bush beans, I'll be picking those. That one's even starting to yellow up. I'll be picking those this week. This style has more than exceeded my expectations. I've been harvesting and eating from this garden already for over a month, and to be honest, I never could grow this many varieties in this ground out here because of the phragmites that grow in from behind that fence over there. The village or the town of Lysander, neither one of them wants to take responsibility for keeping that mowed or dredged out, despite my repeated requests. And another thing too, I unexpectedly was placed in ICU last Wednesday for 3 days after my first initial chemo completely depleted my white blood cell count, and I wound up with an infection. And I'm very fortunate and blessed to have returned home. It was a very life-threatening event, and while I was hospitalized, it was just like this week. We had 3 90-degree days. Mom doesn't know how to actually water this garden, even though it's just a simple soaker hose. All she had to do basically was turn on the spigot at the front of the house, and it would have completely watered it in, each day. But the beautiful thing about this method is that the straw bale makes the perfect growing medium once it's conditioned and soaked in the beginning of the growing process. That composting process within the bale is constantly like a compost pile. It's always moist. It's always nutritious in there. So even though there was 3 days during a heat wave that I could not get out here and do anything or even just water these plants, everything did absolutely fine without me. There's really very little maintenance that I have to do. In fact, most of it is just coming out here with this tablet and recording from week to week. This is week 8, by the way. Week 8 since the original planting on May 21st. Well, actually May 18th. And I just couldn't be more pleased or proud. I just basically come out and admire and then pick my produce. So anybody that is thinking that they can't do this, they're sadly mistaken. It is the easiest method of gardening. My strawberry containers the strawberries are sending out shoots now. I'm just going to let them go. Just like the birds got all my blueberries, the chipmunks got all my strawberries. I don't care. That's fine. But we'll just let the runners go and double my plant yield for tomorrow or for next season. But again, this is, oh, I have herbs over here. Many of these herbs wound up in my stir fry last night. I have right here this beautiful yellow is Mexican tarragon, gorgeous licorice flavor, the same as you would get with this fennel over here. I'm going to let the fennel go. Part of the reason I'm growing it is because it is the host plant of that black swallowtail butterfly that I told you about. But also, down there you can see that maybe you can see, yeah, that it's bulbing up. And I don't know if you've ever had fresh fennel, either cooked or just sliced up raw in a salad. It's absolutely delicious. This pineapple sage is doing incredibly. It's probably quadrupled in size since I planted it. Truly tastes like pineapple. And Mom said, well, why don't you mix it up with some lemons in your lemonade? And I got thinking, well, why don't I mix everything up with some lemons in my lemonade? I'll take some of that pineapple sage, some of my mint that grows wild through here because 40 years ago I mistakenly put spearmint in, or I guess it's peppermint, I don't know which, in the ground. But I also have that big, looks like a bushy weed right there, is actually lemon balm as well as mint. That's gonna make a very flavorful lemonade. And when you take chemo, the first thing that goes is your sense of taste. So it will be nice to actually to taste some lemonade with infused with some of these beautiful mints. Well, let's see. I think you've seen just about everything, folks. Yeah, I guess that again. We're approaching week 8, and this is my backyard. I do need to get out here and weed today. I'm feeling good today, even though it's supposed to be like 95. It's early in the morning, and there's a nice little haze that will keep me relatively cool. So I'm going to get some of this weeding done. And put in some more of the butterfly bushes that I purchased the other day over at, again, running 75% off, folks. Perennials are now $2. Those little eggplants, 40 cents, okay? Couldn't pass them up. All right, God bless. Love you all.